Let's start with the simplest truth you already feel every time you watch anything. The picture grabs your attention, but the impact, the real gravity of what you're seeing, never lands the way it should. The first time you live with the S8, that disconnect between what you see and what you feel just disappears. This is for the kind of person who doesn't just want louder bass, you want meaningful bass. You don't want thumps that rattle without purpose. You want depth that anchors the experience, that makes explosions feel substantial and music feel like it's shaping the room instead of just occupying it. You've noticed when film scores lack weight, when footsteps feel thin, when ambience feels flat. That's not ignorance. That's awareness. Before anything else, take a moment to check the current price and availability. Subs this capable don't sit quietly in stock forever, and timing often matters more than people expect. You've probably felt the need for this for a while, not in dramatic moments, but in subtle ones. A quiet scene that should have been chilling but felt hollow. A game soundtrack that danced around the lows instead of embracing them. Music that sounds complete but never feels complete. You lived with it, you compensated with volume, you told yourself it was fine, but deep down you knew something was missing. Once the S8 is part of your setup, that missing piece arrives instantly. There's a sense of gravity that wasn't there before. The soundtrack doesn't just play, you feel it in your chest. Dialogue sits above the mix instead of fighting with it. Effects of dimension instead of existing on a single plane. You don't chase the low end, it arrives with intent. In real life, that difference grows on you every time you press play. Movies feel cinematic because the sound doesn't stop at the mid-range. Music feels rich because the lows finally have body and purpose. Gaming feels immersive because explosion cues and environmental depth aren't just heard, they're experienced. Even background audio doesn't feel weak anymore, it feels anchored. What really sets this apart isn't just the raw output, it's the control. Downfiring design means bass feels natural, not boomy or overwhelming. 250 watts means power without distortion. And once you hear that balance, lesser subs start to feel sloppy by comparison. Quick heads up, don't assume pricing or stock will stay predictable. Quality subwoofers that genuinely enhance the experience tend to disappear quietly once people hear what they were missing. If you're wondering whether a sub really changes things, here's the truth: it doesn't just add depth, it connects the entire audio spectrum. You stop hearing the mix in pieces and start feeling it as a whole. That's not hype, that's coherence. And once you notice that coherence, going back feels like downgrading your own experience. There's a grounded pride that comes with owning something like this. It doesn't shout specs. It doesn't grab attention. It just performs consistently, naturally, and with purpose. You don't explain it to guests, you just let them notice how full the room sounds. Bass feels deep and controlled. Movies feel cinematic, not thin. Music feels rich and complete. Gaming feels immersive and tight. Every session feels more satisfying. It's not built for people who treat bass as an afterthought, and it's not designed to be a distraction. This is for listeners who want presence. Eventually the comparison loop ends. You realize you're not choosing numbers anymore, you're choosing how you feel when sound hits. Don't let this be one of those upgrades you delay, then regret when your old setup reminds you exactly what was missing. If you're ready for bass that doesn't just boom, but anchors every scene, you owe it to yourself to check the current price, see what's available, and step into a listening experience that finally feels whole.